This is the Rugged Revival podcast. We are the home of the UK's country, Americana and Roots music community. On today's show, we have Kenny Feidler. Many people proclaim to be a real cowboy. In the UK, we have a lot of fake cowboys who like to play dress up, me included, to be fair. But Kenny's a real deal. He's a rodeo cowboy and an awesome musician. So we're hoping to learn what that is like and to hear some cool stories along the way. So welcome to the Rugged Revival, Kenny. How are we doing, mate?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So what have you been up to this week so far?
Kind of just catching up on some sleep. We were just down in Arizona, New Mexico last week, so we kind of tend to travel, stay up for a day or two at a time, and kind of shorten up the travel time and the away from home time. So kind of sneaks up on you pretty quick on Mondays, you know.
Hardcore. You need a Red Bull like me, mate. That's what's.
I know. I got the old coffee right here.
Need something. But I think it'd be nice if I hand over to you just to introduce yourself properly and to tell listeners, particularly in the UK, who might not know your music so well, who you are and how you describe your music.
Sure. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland originally, which is the East Coast. I got into rodeoing and riding bareback horses, and that was kind of what kicked off the whole music thing for me. I rodeoed from high school up until I was 30, and then over the course of that time, I just kind of soaked it all in, and I wrote about it. And coming from town and trying to move into that kind of a lifestyle, just really appreciated it. And I was just so thankful I got to do stuff like that most people from that part of the country don't get a chance to do. So yeah, it was a big part of my songwriting there for a while. And for a long time, I was just doing just writing songs and learning how to play the guitar, and just doing some real DIY recordings at my house. And then and they kind of caught on a little bit, and then in 2020 started doing this full time for a living. And it's quite a bit different going from doing the little acoustic thing and just writing songs and messing around to developing your live show and really putting all the effort into it, and making our live show something that we're proud of. So yeah, I've been doing that for 5 years now with a band, and really lucky.
That's awesome. You've got such an interesting background. Perhaps if we dial it back slightly, just in terms of younger years. So you mentioned growing up in Maryland, did you say?
Yes.
So what was that like? What kind of led you more up to that point? So growing up in Maryland, what was your family life like?
I'm very blessed to have like great parents that really. We're fairly suburban living. My mom was a teacher, and my dad worked for Southwest Airlines, and yeah, they've always supported us, my brother and I, and stuff that we were doing. And in high school, I just kind of I just never really felt like I was wasn't like a fitting in kind of thing. I just never really felt quite settled there, and I got into listening to Chris Ledoux, and he was a former bareback rider, rodeo cowboy, and those songs kind of just took me out of I don't know, they just made me kind of long to live somewhere else, and then I ended up moving to Oklahoma to go to college, and college rodeoed in Oklahoma, and then met my wife there, Blaine, and she's from South Dakota, from a ranching family, and we've lived up here ever since.
Wow, that's some journey, mate. So you did all of that and then entered the world of rodeo. So in England, we don't really know what that's like. We're far less cool, as you can probably tell.
Oh,
People here, they ride horses, but they put fancy hats on and posh clothes, and we call it equestrian rather
sure.
than rodeo. So for what you're doing, bareback on a broncs and just utter chaos, man, that takes some balls to go into. So what was it like, going into that world initially?
A lot of just getting thrown off. A lot of eating shit. When you're younger, it kind of takes a while. Like, I got started in rodeo, riding bulls because bull riding is like kind of like the gateway for most folks into rough stock, just because it's cheap and you can get on with no prior knowledge and get thrown off of one of those. But when it comes to broncs to bareback horses, um, the it's a little bit more intensive gear wise, and yeah, you just there's people, they have high school rodeo over here, so it's kind of like a good entryway for kids to have some mentorship um, and get into it. So yeah, it was. I'm sure I feel bad for my parents because I mean I have two boys now, and mine are 5 and 7, and if they want a rodeo, that's great. I'd sure help them. But if they don't, that's okay too.
You
I,
won't
I
encourage them.
yeah, it's a different spot when they're your kids and you're watching them put themselves in danger like that. When you're the one doing it, you don't think anything of it. But I see the other side of it. So God bless my parents for letting me letting me have a rip of it.
Good on them. And you look like you're still intact and in one piece. So how
Oh
many
yeah,
bones have you broken doing this?
not that many. You know, I I had a lot of concussions, but that was the main thing. And I think just wear and tear. Had maybe a broken wrist, so like I got by pretty well unscathed. Besides some of the head injuries, and they were getting a little bad there for a while. Didn't seem like it took a whole lot to once you get a concussion, they kind of come a lot easier. And so yeah, then once I got older, I didn't rodeo as much. Through my 20s, I pro rodeoed for a while, and towards the end, it was just kind of a in between here and there, going when I wasn't working or something like that. And yeah, and once I had kids, it was just kind of I don't know, it's very much a young man's game, and it wasn't going to go anywhere big for me. I loved it, and it was life changing. People I met, and just the things I got to experience, but not really, not really a career, as much for me. But it was a lot of fun.
Awesome, mate. I mean, we have visions of what it must be like at those events and shows, and you
Oh
must
yeah.
see a lot of cool, crazy things on the rodeo circuit. Have you got any stories or any things that you witnessed kind of stick in your mind?
Not so much, nothing too crazy. Those some of those college rodeos, they would have like a wild ride, and they'd get it's just for fun, just an additional thing. And you have some of your buddies will go get on, um, ride a bucking horse double or something like that, and it get pretty crazy. But no, nothing too much. Just I don't know. It's a wild sport. It's cool that and especially up here, I'm in South Dakota now. Um, it's it's very much a part of I mean, my in-laws are ranchers, and I have a lot of friends that are ranchers, and rodeo's kind of just like the little getaway, fun activity. Um, and I'm sure a lot of guys that grow up horseback around here, it's not such a big deal, but um, yeah, it was special for me.
So most dudes that I speak to like to do fishing in their spare time. You like to be thrown off a horse. So
Not anymore. Not anymore.
so I mentioned just before we came on, so Summer Dean was on yesterday, such a nice lady, and it was great to speak to her. And she told me to ask you, because obviously we're outsiders to the scene, what the difference is between a rodeo cowboy and a ranching cowboy, and particularly in the music sense. I think what she was trying to say to me was that you're a real cowboy, but you don't make traditional cowboy music, if that's
Oh
right
yeah.
with me to say. So I thought
I
I'd
wouldn't
ask you the question.
I wouldn't even call myself a real cowboy either. Because I got to do some of like the ranching side of things, and I just rodeo cowboys and ranching cowboys are different. It's very much a sport, and a few out. I mean, it's a lifestyle for a long time, but you know, um, ranching cowboys, they live that every day, and so yeah, I wouldn't call myself a cowboy really. I mean, I rodeoed, and it's one of those things that you you respect that lifestyle and guys that cowboy for a living. Um, but so yeah, there is a difference. Some guys do both. Um, got to have a little bit of both worlds. Now I'm just a musician. I don't feel like I really do much of anything. But yeah, there is a difference. And as far as cowboy music, I'd say it's there's a very traditional cowboy music scene, and that's not really what I do. I mean, I kind of play rock and roll, and I have songs about, I guess, cowboy stories that kind of intertwine there. So my thing's kind of different. And then but there's people like my friend Kellen Smith that he lives 2 hours west of me. He's a full-time rancher. Um, he doesn't really play traditional cowboy music, but I, you know, it's a weird, it's a weird label, and it's really hard to pin it down. There are, and most people that claim to be this or that, it's, I don't know. I just never really sought to, to be anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's hard with the labels, isn't it, in terms of so many genres and
oh yeah,
it's great when I speak to people and they get asked, what do you play? And I play, well, I play whatever the fuck I like and whatever I feel like feeling at the
yeah,
time. And I think, good on you. It's it's what comes from the heart and what comes out on record. And I
sure.
respect that, man. But I mean, that's really where, from what I read, I went down the Kenny Fiddler kind of rabbit hole this week in preparation and reading a lot about what you've been up to. And, I had this great image of you selling CDs out the back of a Cadillac at the rodeos on the early
Yeah,
days. So is that where you kind of cut your teeth with the music and where things really started?
yeah. I'd say like around when I was still in college, and I just started. It was at a weird like segue for how music's consumed, because there was it really wasn't quite full on streaming at the time. It was just kind of starting. So there was still like LimeWire and all the bootlegging ways of you could get, you could steal music, but it really wasn't like streamable as much. And then iTunes and Spotify were like on the way. So it was very much yeah, I would record these songs, these little albums and stuff at home, and I'd pretty much burn the CDs and cut out the labels and put the labels in into the CD case, and then just kind of pedal them, and so that's kind of the start of it for me. And it was weird because I just made those songs for myself for the most part, and then and when you're kind of a kid and you just play them at parties and things like that, and then you start spreading them around a little bit. So every once in a while someone will come up to me and be like, I have one of those old CDs you made, and it feels really cool because it is something tangible, and it's the quality is terrible, but it was something I made all myself. So it was kind of neat, and so yeah, that was kind of the start of, I guess, feeling like someone else wanted to hear it. And then and then once iTunes and Spotify and stuff were kind of coming around, I found I was able to distribute myself and then put them out there on those platforms. And then the CD thing kind of went away, and not so much. We make vinyl now, and
Yeah.
it's pretty much vinyl, and it goes to streaming now. But yeah, that was kind of I guess the first start of feeling like maybe someone wanted to hear it. But yeah, I really never took it really never pursued it seriously though till probably maybe 6 years ago or 7 years ago. So it was a long time. It was just kind of a hobby and something I was proud of, being writing songs and stuff like that, but not something I thought there was anything more to it than just a hobby.
Yeah, I've heard so many similar stories, and it's just incredible how you've gone from that sort of background and fairly recent to absolutely killing it on the scene. With the numbers that you're racking up on the streaming platforms, and you give me some real nostalgia there, mates, with the old burning of the CDs and LimeWire. I don't think my old PC forgives me for installing LimeWire and downloading dodgy
Oh.
record. It's still in hospital now, but no, that's awesome. I mean, in terms of the rodeo community, then would you say that was a good way to kind of start that music career for you, perhaps in a way that a traditional industry route maybe couldn't, or would have been done in a different way?
I think it's a very small niche that for like those rodeo songs and that, and they don't so yeah, I think it was to my benefit because there wasn't I know like when I was a kid kind of getting into like rodeoing and stuff like that, I was just trying to grab whatever I could, any kind of semblance of cowboy culture through music, and it was very hard to. I mean, the I think kids today have a lot more access to every, you can find anything, any kind of music you want. And we were kind of stuck with retailers and destroying our parents' computers. Uh, but the yeah, that I think that it helped a lot. And another thing too, and this was never like part of like a grand scheme or anything, but with like those rodeo songs, there's a new batch of kids that come out every year that are searching that for that same thing, and that doesn't really go away. I'm sure like popularity of stuff kind of ebbs and flows, but for kids kind of looking for that kind of music, or particularly to rodeo songs, yeah, there's a new crop of kids every year looking for that, so it does kind of help, and that's a little bit of security in that. um, I feel like yeah, it kind of cut me a little special path into it that maybe if I was just trying to just write something a little more generic, and it might not have got through the noise.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely speaks to people, and I'm a massive fan of what you're doing, mate. Yeah, I love the
Thank you.
Texas music scene, and this is why mutual friends like Talbot always hook us up with artists and suggestions and recommendations, and we kind of share the love in that sense. And speaking to the Texas-based artists, they all say it's one of the best, if not the best, scene in that you can exclusively tour Texas, make a good living just in the state, build an incredible fan base, and you never have to leave. So it's and a lot
Sure.
of people don't. Is that your experience of things?
Well, so I'm in South Dakota, but we've been fortunate enough to like be able. I mean, Texas is kind of our biggest listenership, and most people think I'm from Texas, or a Texas band, which is to our benefit, that we can kind of hang out in both scenes. But I think there's a lot of folks that stay in Texas and don't ever get out, um, because they don't have to, and that's really great, if that's what you're looking to do. So So we're out of South Dakota, and but we've been fortunate enough to get to go and kind of. But most folks think that we're, you know, think that we're a Texas band, or and a large part of our listenership is in Texas. But so there's I have a lot of friends that are Texas musicians, and they and they stick pretty much to the state. Um, uh, we're in a little bit of a different boat. We go and do little passes through Texas, go down several times a year, but because we're up here, we try to just hit the whole country. And I found that that's just worked better for us. I think that there's Texas by far has like the biggest music scene for what we're kind of into. But there's a lot of areas in the rest of the country that are kind of dying to have live music, and they really appreciate it um, when people come to town. So I'm a big fan of going all over the place, and not just there was a time where I thought I needed to move to Texas. I lived in Oklahoma for 6 years, um, through college and after. But yeah, once I moved up here, it kind of seemed like maybe that was necessary to move to Texas, and because there is a certain thing that comes with being a Texas band. It has that very loyal fan base to that kind of music, and Texas music is very diverse too. It's not one sided. So it's merely just geography, really. I mean, there are certain things you can tell, like that's Texas music or this and that, but you never want to get boxed in, because I mean, if you're getting boxed in, then maybe you're a little late to the game, I guess. Um, so so my band personally, we go to Texas a few times a year, and for the most part try to just run all over the country. And we have our booking agent Ted, that he has a small roster. We're not on a big booking roster, and we talk every few days and develop these routes that we're going to take to be efficient, and keep trying to build markets. And yeah, we kind of chip away at it a little bit at a time. We don't have anything. We're at this weird middle ground where we're making a living, but it's not like it's just flash in the pan right now. It's kind of just down to grinding for us, and I feel like the one thing that we do have that's it's kind of tangible and in our hands, as a band, is making sure our live show is killer. And so that's something that put a lot of work into, and because I've always cared about the songs, and took put a lot of love into the songwriting, and then it seemed like the next step was just making sure that the live show um, was unique and intense, and different, so we have something to continue to make a living on, because it's a weird industry where you don't really, I mean, just because you work hard doesn't mean that you're going to get paid and that you're going to continue to make a living. um, People's tastes change, and the way they consume music changes. I think even like with the streaming stuff now, the streaming thing has been huge for someone like me to, without it, there wouldn't have been a chance to make a living um, playing music. Um, but now it's 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 ever changing, and it seems like can't really get a solid read on it, on what's going to be the way to release music, and what's the best way to get those songs to the people that want to hear them. But I feel like the live show is the one thing that we do have the most control of. You know, we can make sure that thing's as good as we can make it, and treat the people that come to our shows, you know, really respect and their time, and make sure that we're getting them their money's worth whenever they take the time to come see us. So so that's where we're at right now. We just we do a long live show, and we try to make sure it's great for them.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point to kind of raise now, because you've got the 2025 album. Is it Live at Bucks?
Oh yeah, yep.
That gives you a real good kind of taste of the live show. If you can't make it, for someone like me to listen to you play
Oh
live,
sure.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's a long live show.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah. Yeah.
it's absolutely worth listening to. So for anyone out there, yeah, just go and listen to that for a start, and you're going to get a taste of Kenny's live shows. It's awesome. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the streaming. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, I think, with social media, the streaming platforms, and it's always a topic that we speak to about a lot of people, and it works for a lot of people, and some people have real kind of difficulties in kind of dealing with it, and having to kind of use social media and be the marketing expert at the same time. But I was looking at some of your statistics earlier, and I think on your website, you said you've got over 180 million streams worldwide. And, you know, some of the places you're reaching are as far as Australia. You seem to have a really good following over there. So that's quite interesting. Was
Yeah.
that quite surprising for you?
I think it comes from, you know, like the rodeo stuff, and you do have like such a blue collar uh community over there. I've never been, so at least from people that reach out from Australia, that's what that's the word that I get, that they kind of dig some of those, you know, those rodeo songs. And so I feel like that's a maybe that's how we kind of broke in over there without ever really, you know, setting foot there. Um, and yeah, it's I feel like there's always gonna be things that people can complain about, and maybe things that don't really feel like it's quite fair, or maybe it's a weird scene. But on the other hand, I'm just thankful that, like, we are in a lucky spot for independent musicians to, as much as you might be at the mercy of, you know, big machines. It's always been like that with music, and so maybe it's not always great, but it's still a fortunate spot to be where we're at right now.
Yeah, for the large part, it's a free tool as well. So it's just
Yeah.
how you think about it and how you use it. It's the important part. And yeah, even looking at your streaming on Spotify earlier as well, and looking at Barrel Racerland. I mean, that's 21 million listens on there. That's incredible, and it's a real strict back acoustic record. One of your early
that's
ones.
that's crazy, because it's probably like the least um like, that was like a little homemade recording, just a joke thing. I mean, if folks listen to any of my other stuff, most of the stuff I write about is fairly serious, and um that one's very different, but you can't really pick what takes off. But that one did. And I used to complain about it a little bit, because, you know, it's very very different from what I do on the regular. But lucky to have like a good it might put some of my other music that I really care about in front of people. And yeah, it's you can't complain about that. That's pretty lucky, is when people want to listen to anything you make. So
It's awesome, and it's funny when I speak to a lot of other people, and they're like, you know, the one record I made that I thought would be the one to hit that many streams
oh yeah,
really wasn't. And like you say, it's either a jokey type record that we made, or just something that we had on a B-side of something. And
sure.
you know, it's so surprising, but it's quite funny to hear those stories. So you started off with, you know, the homemade kind of raw recordings, and it's really progressed since then. And you know, I was listening to a lot of the newer albums that you've made, and one particular track I liked, and I put it on the promo today, was Blue Light Special. That is my kind of
Oh
sound, mate. It's loud, just like me. And that's how I kind of picture sometimes the Texas sound, you know, the face melting solos, the real kind of heavier sound is what I
Sure.
say. But that's awesome. And then we talk about the Cowboy Killers as well. I mean, what a cool name for a start. Why
Oh,
is it called the Cowboy Killers? And talk to us about the band, man.
so I just I wrote that song. That was just kind of like a loose little tribute thing to like my wife's family, like homesteading over here. Um, and and the to sum up the song, it's called the Cowboy Killers, and you know these guys, whether it's you know um, the horses or the drinking or the lifestyle or from old days to now, um, in the end, it's um, you kind the line is all these cowboy killers, but the Cowboys always beat them to the chase. You pretty much end up doing yourself in before any of these environmental things get to you. So that's kind of the roundabout on that one. But and then I just thought the name was cool, and so I for a while there I was kind of billing my band as Kenny Fiddler and the Cowboy Killers because I'm not a real big spotlight guy, and it feels weird to just have your name when it's very much a group effort from a band perspective. For it to just have my name on it and on the T-shirts and on the on the all the marketing stuff, and then you know, kind of put the humbleness aside there and um, realize like, hey, it's a lot easier just to have your two words on a festival bill, or
Yeah.
or for some venue that's maybe not too great on their marketing practices, it just give them a little smaller margin to deal with, so it comes across the same. And the music's always been under my name anyway, but so I did bill for a while as like a full band name, and now I just use just my name just for to make it easy. But yeah, but all the guys have all the bandmates, like, and some of our listeners too got these cowboy killer tattoos, or I don't think I have anything here, but there's like a little logo that people kind of kind of put with that, and people have been getting tattoos of it, and it's a cowboy
That's
killer
awesome, man.
tattoo. Yeah, it's really neat. Yeah.
Get it branded on you, couldn't you? Like
Oh
a bit
yeah.
of Yellowstone type stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's fantastic, mate. So, like I said, I was listening to the latest live album today, and I love it. I think it's great. What have you got in store for the rest of the year? Are you cutting any more records? Are you? Seems like you're touring extensively. Looking at your schedule up into around October, I think.
Yeah, we're we're almost done. We're just kind of finishing up on a studio album, and hoping to put that out late summer, maybe early fall. It's not a very long album. I mean, I have all of our songs seem to be very long in comparison to a lot of things, but I I think I have like an 8 song album I'm gonna put out, and we'll probably wait to press vinyl, press vinyl first, and then maybe release as soon as all that's done. Seems like every up until now, it's always been such a rush trying to stay active and continually put music out. Like last year, I was kind of jockeying to put out a couple singles and then have an album done, and we just had just um, this life happens, and and so things get kind of put aside, and so we put some singles out last year, and anyway, so gonna put studio album out, and really proud of the songs. I really like the songs, and we'll do that, and we're always touring. It's not really we I talk about this all the time, but a lot of folks go out for these month-long runs or something like that. We kind of just go out week to week and then go straight home. So if we play somewhere Thursday, like we played in New Mexico last Thursday, so we left my house 9 o'clock at night on Wednesday night, just drive straight there, get there in time for load in, and then we played in near Phoenix on Saturday and loaded up at 1 o'clock and just drove straight home and got home Sunday night at 10, 11 o'clock at night. It was a 20-hour drive. But so yeah, we're always touring. It's never like we don't make a big to-do about it. We just kind of have our shows, and right now we've got a whole bunch of shows that we haven't even announced yet for the fall. So it might look like the tour ends in October, but it very much goes year round.
Yeah, I did notice that, and it said new dates to be announced. So
oh yeah,
we assume that you'll be doing more stuff. But it's funny, every time I speak to you guys in the US, that how simple, or how simple you view driving, 20 hours or something ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And we're so lazy in the UK. A half an hour drive or an hour's drive is way too much for us. So
No, I sympathize because growing up on the East Coast, so many people we knew, and even just own personal perspective, like until you do that, where you're kind of always in the city in some form or another. I know a lot of people that they would never like going over 2 or 3 hours was a trip, and out here, out west, it's there's a lot of space in between, and you kind of just don't think anything of it. Like 2 or 3 hour drive isn't anything. And then the way we travel now, anything under 10 hours is kind of nice.
Wow.
But we're covering a lot of ground, and that's kind of what we have to do, because within anything in the 6 hour kind of radius is pretty close to home for us. I mean, you barely get out of the state, 2 or 3 state region, and there's not a whole lot of venues to play in that area. So we kind of just expect to have, at least an 8 hour jump off point into the weekend, and then it's nice if, it's a 3 or 4 hour drive, day to day. That's kind of nice, but that's kind of what we get for living in South Dakota and trying to tour all over. But it beats a real job, though.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. Remember that. It does beat
Yeah,
a real job.
I try to, whenever try to really make sure I always stay appreciative of. I mean, I'm very thankful for what we have and what we're able to do, and even when things feel like they're not like going great, or maybe things are passing by or something like that, I try to keep that perspective, and I've had a lot of manual labor jobs, and real hard work, and going and playing music with my friends is pretty nice. So I don't mind the drive, and we'll keep doing it.
Good on you, mate. Good on you. It's so what are your goals? And this is one my co-host who couldn't be here today likes to ask, and it's about where do you see things going? And it doesn't have to be within the next year. It could be 5 years or even 10 years down the road. Have you ever sat down and kind of put together a plan or thought about where things are heading for you?
My main, we're always looking to keep growing markets, and this seems like very small scale, and it might be very light dreaming, but our goal is to sustainability, and to keep growing those markets. It would be great to have these have something happen where bam, you're selling everything out all the time, and you're moving up venue sizes or something like that. But I make weird music. I mean, like I'm I'm at peace with what I do, and I really like what I do, the music that we make, and so I'm okay with it never being anything huge. If we can, the main goals are to always grow, listenership and crowds, in different markets, and then more so just for everyone in my band to make a good living. I feel like I make a good living, and I try to spread that around pretty good and make sure it passes along to my band. We kind of operate a little differently than a lot of bands. We split everything evenly. I have old recordings, like the Barrel Racial Land thing, and some of that old stuff I made on my own that that kind of helps make a living for my family. But you know, since I got the band involved, we split royalties, and we split we split the paycheck, and we split all the merch profits, and and that's not how a lot of people operate, and I understand why not. But like my bandmates are my best friends. I mean, next to my wife. I mean, I spend a lot of time with those guys, and I feel like it's the only right way to go about it in my situation. So that goal is just to continuously maybe everyone could live a little cushier and not have to worry about bills and stuff like that. So yeah, that's like I guess the short term goal is just to continue to grow and to a point where everyone's living pretty good, and we're just about there. I mean, it's everyone can always have a little more money or in anything you do, but it's a full-time gig, and so that's pretty lucky to have that. And then and long term, um not really searching to go when it comes to venues and anything like that. If we could just get to maybe a theater size on the regular, selling out theaters on the regular or something like that. I think it's very attainable and very realistic, and it would kind of work with those short-term goals as well. And then long-term, just continue to make music that I'm proud of and that my band's proud of, and I feel like we've stayed pretty true to that. We don't really keep. I mean, we want people to listen to our music, but we don't really have anybody in mind when we're making something. And maybe we'd be a little more popular if we did that. But I don't really think of the end result. Like I want to be moved by what we're making, and I want the songs to mean something to me or to people around me. And other than that, I don't really ever put a whole lot of thought into I care about the audience, and I care about people to come to our shows, but make the music for ourselves first, and I feel like that keeps it pretty honest and true, and whether it nips us in the butt later, as far as popularity wise, that's okay. I'm kind of at peace with what we do, and I think I'm really proud of it. So I can just to always stay on that path is really important to me long term.
Absolutely. Good on you, mate. It's and it's funny you mentioned that, because I can't remember who mentioned it on one of our previous shows, but they said make music for you essentially, and
Sure.
the audience will come to like it. You'll find your people, and they mentioned something like, don't write a song because you think it will sound good at Red Rocks or a particular venue or to particular people, because you'll have to end up playing that song forever almost.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you might grow to hate it because of those reasons. So Yeah, I completely get where you're coming from, and I think those are sound goals, mate. I think they are. Yeah, they're really good.
Thank you.
Um, So just moving on slightly. So on the Rugged Revival, we have a playlist on Spotify, and we like putting this one together because it's exclusive to people that come on the podcast or the artists that we meet out on the road when we do our live interviews or live sessions and things like that. And I think it's a good way to ask people like yourself, what two songs of yours should we add to the playlist so when people come to go check it out, they'll get a real good kind of flavor of who you are and what your band represents.
Uh, right now, I'd say this is one of the more recent ones. I put a song out called "Choking on the Wire." It's it was like inspired by a Cormac McCarthy book, um, and I think that's a good that's a good representation of what we do. It's heavier, um, it's darker, you know, that kind of thing, and then maybe um, so I put this song out last year also, not to give you just new stuff, but a song called "In the Blood." Um, it's probably the most important song I've wrote to me and my family here lately. My father-in-law passed away last year in a horse wreck, and I wrote it for his funeral, and it never, it didn't make it very. I mean, it's not super popular or anything, but it's about my family, and it's about him, and yeah, it just really felt like we play it every night, and a lot of times I'll close up some of our shows with it. But I've always been really proud of putting my family first when it comes to this thing. And so yeah, maybe "In the Blood" would be the other one.
No, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that too, mate.
You bet.
It's interesting to kind of hear that. So also, I like to ask as well, away from your own music, and I like to either put a 5 or 10 year cap on it because there's so much good music within the last decade, particularly. What is the best album or even just a single that you've listened to in that time period? And why does that stand out for you particularly?
Of other people's music.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Man, I'm gonna have to cheat real quick and look.
Look at your Spotify.
Yeah, yeah. Trying to think of what I've been listening to here lately in the past 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, there or thereabouts. I think it's just because everyone has their all-time favorites and things like that. And sometimes I think it's interesting to look at stuff that's newer, what
Oh,
people are listening to.
yeah, definitely. Um, I mean, I'm a huge Lucero fan. I don't know if you've ever um, checked them out at all. But they put out an album called "Among the Ghosts," and I thought it was just a great album. For and that's a band that's been around for a long time. That has had a lot of ebbs and flows, and just for music that I like, I thought that was great. And then maybe for something that I'm not just that I've just really appreciated um, from not just being a fan, but from just listening, um, would be Ian No. I think he's incredible um, songwriter, and let's see if I can see what album this was. That um, yeah, River Fools and Mountain Saints. I thought
Cool.
that was a 2022 album, but man, that is a killer album.
He's doing really well at the moment. Yeah, Ian,
Oh yeah,
he's
oh
headlining a
yeah,
lot of places. So yeah,
yeah,
I think I'll have to go down the rabbit hole of Ian at some point.
yeah. And to give you one more, I always champion my friends a lot. Kellen Smith, he just put out a recent album, but probably as far as music that I listen to the most, I probably listen to Kellen's. He's got a white album called Rancher Blues, um, and I've listened to that a ton, and all of his new stuff. But it's really cool to have your friends be some of the people that you know you dig their music the most above anybody else. So
Definitely, mate. Yeah, you're a good
yeah,
dude for doing that. It's I mean, we started life as the Rugged Revival being a community, and mainly as a way to kind of help support independent artists gain some recognition or even discover new audiences. So especially in the UK here, where we don't get exposed to a lot of places like the Texas music scene, the
sure.
Kentucky, it's very much mainstream commercial guff over here, shall we
Oh
say.
no, I
Um,
get you. We have a
it's
lot of that too.
yeah. So I hear. I thought it was very different, but apparently you guys suffer from the same issues that we do in the UK. But with saying that, it's been fun to set up the podcast to speak to these emerging artists and people that we think are absolutely incredible and deserve just being put out there a bit more. So I know you mentioned Kellen. I will definitely check him out. But is there any other kind of emerging musicians or bands that you personally listen to or that you've met on the road that you think actually that more people should know about them?
Yeah, I have some friends. They're actually out of Texas, Lubbock, Texas. Ronnie and the Redwoods. They're we've we've played a lot of shows together, and we've been friends for years. They're like a phenomenal live band, and it just they're grinding out. They're doing just like we do. They travel all over the country, and and just an incredible band. And I feel like they have really Ronnie has great songs, and they're really making a go of it. And I know it's like tough, but I hope that um, you know they're one of those bands that I think it's going to pan out. Just by grinding, they're going to do it because I think the songs are that great and the musicianship's that great. So
Fantastic. I think what we're going to do is set up a second playlist for all of the suggestions that people give us, because that'd be quite a cool thing to check out at the same
oh
time,
yeah,
mate. So
definitely.
I'll be up for that. But no, thank you for that. That's it's great. I think a lot of these bands and artists really deserve that kind of platform. And like you say, they're putting out so many incredible records, and more people should listen to it. Not be a slave to the algorithm, which
Yeah.
some of them are bound by sometimes. But it's very difficult. So in terms of upcoming stuff, so you mentioned you obviously got all these tours going on. I noticed one, the Canes Ballroom with Josh Malloy, and that looks
Oh
a
yeah.
super cool gig to do with Josh. Josh is quite well known these
Yeah.
days, and Kane's Ballroom is seems to be a phenomenal place to visit. It's somewhere I'd love to go. So
Yeah.
is that one you're certainly looking forward to?
Definitely. Yeah, actually, so Josh and I do well, Josh has us on for quite a few support spots on his shows, and we're friends with those guys, and he's got a huge platform, so I really appreciate getting to go on his shows and just get to go out there and play for 40 minutes to an hour and just not have to worry about selling tickets. Or I mean, it's just a little more, it's a different thing. It's a little less business for us, when we get to go do support things, and so we really appreciate getting to do those. And we we're supposed to do so that can we were supposed to play Canes with him last year, and it ended up being um, the weekend that my father-in-law's funeral fell on. So that was just kind of one of those things where you got to duck out of it, and so yeah, we're looking forward to it then, and it it's great that we appreciate them having us on for it, and um, we've got to play a lot of cool venues with those guys, and they're doing big things, and we it's always fun to go and play for a big crowd like that.
Absolutely, man. That sounds incredible. Like I said, it's on our bucket list. So me and Ronnie, who's not on today, I don't know how we've managed to wangle it, but we've got a hall pass from our wives to go to the US next year, hopefully, for a
Oh,
couple of
awesome.
weeks. So one thing we're asking guys like yourself is if we went to Texas or a place elsewhere, South Dakota or anywhere really. I mean, I think we're going to focus on Texas to start with. Two
Yeah.
weeks isn't particularly long,
No,
but in that time, is there anywhere you'd recommend that we should certainly go to?
Green Hall is amazing. I mean, I get if you're gonna just go do Texas, I would go do Green Hall, do Lukenbach. I've never been to Floors, um, but go hit the hill country, and I think there's so much music happening all the time down there, and then maybe sprinkle in some of the other town, outside of the hill country. But I think Green Hall is such a cool historic venue, and it's not huge, but has all the feels that I think would just blow your mind. you know, um, yeah, yeah. As far as Texas, I'd say Green, and can't really think of a. I like just going down to that area just to hang out. So there's plenty of stuff to go
Oh,
do.
thank you. We will
Yeah.
check that out, mate. I don't know how we've managed to wangle 2 weeks. I think we need more, but I don't want to push it just yet. So maybe
Yeah,
I'll do it.
keep us posted. We'll throw you in the van and give you the express tour around the country.
Mate, that'll be awesome. Yeah, we could share a beer or two and see how much trouble we can get into in 2 weeks' time. But so on the flip side of things, mate, have you? I know we talked about kind of future things and giving your fan base in Australia and places like the UK even. Have you had any aspirations to do anything abroad?
Yes, definitely. As far as UK goes, we if I'm not sure if even if we just tag along on maybe on support for somebody else or something like that. That might be the best way for us to dip our toes over there. Um, that'd be really cool. Um, and we were talking about doing an Australia thing. Couldn't really make it work out financially. Um, there was serious talks, but it just we kind of have to. There's times where we do things that are definitely exposure and for um, longevity and growth, and then but I can't always like trade off like the time. It's different if
Yeah.
it's like a week. It's like not a big deal. But if it gets to Australia's a long trip, and if it gets to be in 3 weeks or a month, that's a big chunk of time for my guys to where we're making money on the road. So I feel like the UK actually might be a little bit more easier for us to hit, and whether it's profitable or not, I'd still do it. But on a shorter time period. But
Defo, mate. And we'll give you the guided tour too, mate. We'll show you all the pubs. Do a bit of a pub crawl while you're here.
oh yeah,
It's
yeah. No, I would love
you'll be
to.
up for it.
I think it would be great, and whatever opportunities come along to do that, or even to go to Australia, we'll do our best to make it work.
Legend. Appreciate that, man. So I think I've asked you so many questions. I've taken up so much of your time, and I
Oh
really
no,
appreciate you coming on, Kenny. It's
oh
you're
no. Let me say too, and I tell other guys that do podcasts and stuff like that. Um, it's very much a labor of your of love for you guys, and and I know there's not a whole lot of you know you're not making money doing the things. Like, we appreciate it so much. It means a lot to us, and especially other bands in similar situations to us, where um, I just can't thank you enough for doing it. So I always try to take as much time as possible to do these things, and and my band and myself, we just appreciate you guys doing it.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, like you say, it's a labour of love, but it really is. We didn't go into this to make money. Eventually, it'd be nice, to pay some bills.
Yeah.
But, the fact is, it's a fun hobby. We get to speak to awesome people like yourself, and it's great. So I appreciate your comments, man. It's fantastic. What we like to do, so to close off the show, I don't know if you've got a drink handy, mate, a cup of tea, a coffee. There you go, you got your coffee. So we always raise a toast at the end to the grit, the grind, and to the revival. And thanks everyone for listening. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much.